The following is an RC Underground Radio production.
Ryan, welcome back. Here we go again, buddy.
It's that time. It's that time.
Absolutely. So, hey, when we talk about time, we are 7 episodes into this deal.
That's pretty incredible, actually, to get to 7 already.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And, you know, I found some interesting things out about the number 7 when your podcast. 65% of all podcasts end after the 7th episode.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a statistic out there that they say, you know, you first kick it off, right? And you get excited about it, and it's a fun thing.
Oh yeah,
to
you're
do.
all hyped up and ready to go.
Yeah, and then you got to do. You know, there's some posts that has to be done. Like when we're done here, you know, I'm messing around preparing this to put it out on Spotify and so forth. But yeah, I guess people just kind of get it becomes a grind after 7 episodes.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. You know, if you're kind of running out of things to talk about, and you know, I think the cool thing about what we've got going on is there's always races, there's always recaps, there's products that are coming out that we want to talk about, and other people to talk to about this cool hobby that we've got with 1RC. So I don't see this stopping anytime soon.
No, that's the thing, and you know, for some of those folks out there would hope that maybe this was going to end after this. And sorry.
So yeah, sorry about that, folks.
Sorry to disappoint you. But yeah, as long as you keep tuning in, you're kind of stuck with us for quite a while. We're already starting to schedule next year. So yeah, we're into this thing full steam ahead. We've got a plan. And that's one of the things they say too. A lot of people, they don't come into it with a plan. They got an idea, they want to talk about it, and then they kind of run out of stuff to talk about. Right?
Yeah, and I could see that too, because you know, it's like with anything in life, you know, have a plan, work a plan. I say that all the time, and you know, this is fun for us. It's another hobby on top of our other passionate hobby that we're all about, and that's the racing side of it. So yeah, I'm ready for next year. We can keep pounding these out every week.
Yeah,
Plenty to talk about.
And I'm just excited because we are there's 5 million, not 100 or 1,000, 5 million titles, podcast titles on Spotify. Is that stat alone is crazy. There's over 100 million listeners just in the U.S. alone. I think it's 500 or 600 million around the world. There's actually other countries that are bigger on it than we are, but 100 million people. And we got our little slice of the pie, and that's awesome.
I'm good with it.
So, anyways, yeah, we've done a few things with that. You know, we launched the track, the RC Underground. Then we've launched RC Underground Radio. But like you said, it's becoming a beast of its own, right? It's growing and it's turning into other things, and we're starting to talk to other people. You know, we do the whole above ground thing, and it's really kind of taken on its own persona. So we split it off. We now have RC Underground Radio Facebook.
We've created another division.
Yes, there you go. There you go. And also a YouTube page, RC Underground Radio.
Yep.
YouTube page. We just got that launched. So what we just want to do is ask people, if you can, just reach out to us at rcuradio@gmail.com. Just let us know who you'd like us to talk to. Maybe you'd like to be on the show. So we're looking for 1RC racers, manufacturers, track owners, and more. I think the above ground thing is really fun, and I think it's really interesting. And the more people we can get on, we want to talk to you. If you want to talk, we want to talk to you.
Yeah, and I mean, and so I was on Facebook one day, imagine, and I'm trolling through, you know, all of our awesome 1RC pages that we follow, and I see this digital fabrication come up, and there's guys selling these cool, like basically like little pit boards, right? And you can have your tires in there, your shocks. They're all labeled just absolutely beautiful. And I'd never seen anything like that. So I reached out to him and I'm like, yeah, do me. And sent it to me. And it was just this beautiful piece. And then it just snowballed from there. It was like crack. I had to have this. I had to have that. So we've got an awesome guest on today, Charlie from Digital Fabrication. I'm excited to bring him on and talk to him about some of the really cool products that he's developing. Couple things to this though, that I want everybody to know, kind of getting out of the chute. You know, Charlie communicates well with you. There's when I buy things on Facebook or go through all of that, you get a little nervous. I've been burned before. I know you have,
Oh,
Dave.
Yep.
But when Charlie says he's going to do something, he does it. And that just impressed the heck out of me. In fact, he had built, he had made a revision to his pit tool board. I mean, you can hold your wrenches in there, everything, all your Allen wrenches, you name it. And he made a revision with a slot in it so you could prop up your cell phone. And I said, hey, buddy. And sure enough, he came back at me and said, oh, that's right, Ryan. I made a revision to it. Don't worry. I'm only going to charge you X amount of dollars for this. So, I mean, just an absolute stand-up guy. He gets stuff out very quickly. So let's welcome our friend Charlie from Digital Fabrication
to the program. Welcome, Charlie.
Hey guys, man, I don't know how I can follow an intro like that.
Well, I'm
Okay,
your biggest
well, we're
fan,
done.
Charlie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we'll
done.
see you
Have a
later,
great
buddy.
Yeah, the check's in the mail. Okay, so,
No, just send me some more
you got-
parts, buddy.
Fair enough. I got plenty of those.
So, hey,
So,
buddy.
yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just got to ask you, like, what ignited your desire to get involved and so deeply in the 1RC craze? Beyond, and I'm sure you'll let us know if you're doing stuff for other RC, but what we mostly see is what you're doing in the 1RC realm, which is just lights out, buddy.
I appreciate that. So it was actually this was all kind of born from my own. You talked about liking to have a nice organized pit space and kind of having a place for everything and everything in its place, right? And it's not always possible, but I found that when I got my first few cars and I was rebuilding the stock shocks or I was upgrading to the aluminum adjustable shocks, that I had a desk that was full of teeny tiny screws and shock parts and seals and just you name it. And there was 4 to 8 of them everywhere. So the thought was, okay, I had a couple small parts trays, let me use these, but then everything kind of got lumped together and, it just became like, I need a better way to do this. Well, I have 3D printers. I've had 3D printers for a while, and I've done little things like this here or there. And I got to designing, and it started out as, it would be really neat if I had a place, a little organizer for the individual parts. Okay, maybe I could break that into each corner of the car. Well, why not have a spot where we could put the tires and, well, heck, batteries and tools, we've all got those. So it kind of evolved very fluidly as I went along. And every time I created one more thing, I got another idea for another, and I just kept adding them in to the setup station, I guess, as we call it now.
Right.
And yeah, and then the car stands were the second part of that. So the car stands, I like the 1RC foams that they have. They're perfect. There's only 2 of them that service all 6 of their cars or whatever else we're using out there with different bodies and stuff on them. And I said, man, these are great, but a couple places we race outside or gets hot down here and they've got big fans that are blowing air around, and that being a little light foam, I was worried about them. You go up to race, you come back and, oh, geez, where'd my foam go? And it's 8 feet, 10 feet away underneath somebody else's table because now it's blown off. So I said I should build something for that to sit in nice and snug. It would get it up off the ground. It would probably prolong the life of the foam a little bit more, and it would just look cool because we all have our nice lettered up and numbered up cars, and we want everything to match, right? Or a lot of us do. So I made the first couple of those, and again, it was all for me. It was all for my stuff, and I went ahead and I posted it up on a couple of the pages just to be like, hey, check out these things, I made, and just to have guys be like, yeah, man, that's cool, right? Get that confirmation or that positive feedback from my fellow racers, and all of a sudden I started getting messages and comments, and guys were saying, oh man, can you make me one? Hey, that's really cool. Hey, do you make this? And it kind of went from there. So I saw an opportunity to maybe serve the community with stuff that wasn't out there that nobody else was really doing. Everybody does the 10th scale stuff. They all do the slash-based whatever stuff, whether it be Mud Boss, Street Stocks. There's a lot of stuff out there for that, but nobody's really shined a light on what we're doing here with the 1RC stuff. So I said, oh, let's give it a shot. So yeah, so I went ahead and that's how it started, and then it's gradually just kind of grown and built from there. And they're not all, I want to say they're not all my ideas, but they're a lot of ideas from a lot of the customers or a lot of the guys that contact me and say, hey man, I'd really like to see this, or hey, I could really use this. And I've done some one-off stuff for some guys too, where maybe it wasn't something that made sense to mass produce, but if but kind of worked it out with them and things like that. But yeah, and that's kind of how we got here. It happened in a hurry. So this is I haven't been doing this for a very long time, and it came on pretty quick. So
That's one of the best ways though to serve your client base, right? Is to take ideas that they had. That's your market. That's what they're going to want, and then
Yep.
you have the creativity and the ability to do it. So I was looking at just a list that I wrote down. What I've seen already is the magnetic part tray, the setup station you mentioned, the tire tubes. Those are super cool.
Love those.
Yep.
Mhm.
The battery charging station, the car stands, and the tire plugs. I mean, you just like overnight, bang, just things started coming out.
Yeah, and to think I'm doing all this on like the biggest challenge I have, one is some of the design work because I'm not as proficient in some of the design programs as I probably could be. So what I do and what I create would probably take somebody with real talent next to no time at all, which takes me a little bit. And that is my biggest hang up is not only that, but time in general. So I have a day job. This isn't this isn't the only thing I do. I have a day job and hours can get kind of crazy with that. And I have a set of 5-year-old twins and we've got homework and all the family stuff that goes on. So when I can and when I can grab an extra half hour to do some design work, if I've got something stuck in my head, the wife and the kids are great about that and say, okay, dad's brainstorming in there. Let's let him go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's hard for all of us, Charlie, but I can tell
yeah,
you,
yeah.
from my perspective, you sure as heck don't let your customers uh, see that. I mean, when I send you a message, you're quick to respond. I mean, I haven't had anything go 2-3 days. I mean, it's always been within a couple hours. Yeah, man, I can do that, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So you do a very fine job of balancing that kind of
Thank you.
work life, family, hobby balance. I think that's super important, and it's good too that you let because I'm sure, hopefully we have a lot of your customers listening to this and future clients listening to this, so they'll be a little bit understanding of, hey, it just you're producing these things, you're doing different color combinations now. There's a lot of work involved. So I think it's
Yep.
good to get that out there. That people understand, hey, you got a family, you've got work too, and that all comes first.
Yep. Oh no, yeah, without a doubt. And I won't like I will definitely put something 3D print related off, when it comes to spending an hour or so to sit down and do homework. Obviously that's more important. So we definitely do that, but at the same time, um at one other point here in the past, so I was a big sim racer. I still kind of am. I just haven't done it in a while now with the RC racing picking up and this kind of stuff. So I used to do small electronics boxes and things like that guys use for sim racing, and I was at the time competing with guys that had full-blown businesses, and they were doing things on CNC machines, and I mean they were really nice pieces. So one of the things I taught myself there, and just comes down to basic human decency, right? Everybody wants to be treated with respect and made to feel like they matter, and that was one of the things that I always did right from the beginning there and carried over into this was that customer service is going to take me farther than the best product I could ever make. So just treat people the way you'd want to be treated, and don't rake them over the coals when it comes to pricing, and they'll keep coming back. So
Well, and I think that's a great segment because you or lead in to what I want to talk about next. Because there's something that's shocking about this new product that you created, and through some R&D, you've kind of thrown a good statement out there to all of us racers who have bought these. So you've created this new bumper for the 1RC late model, and
Mhm.
it's fantastic.
Two new bumpers.
Yeah,
Two new
two new
bumpers.
bumpers. Yep. I've got the little bit wider one, and
Most people get the wider
yeah.
one, not the
So
the lightweight one yet. Yep.
so let's talk about what led you to develop this new style bumper.
Well, okay, so I had the same issues that everybody else that has the late model has had, which is we're not all pro drivers, right? We're not all sponsored. We're out here having
Well,
fun. We're in basements and
I am,
oh,
Charlie.
okay. Well,
So
well
just
then, well then,
kidding.
why do
I'm
you need
kidding,
all
buddy.
these bumpers, Ryan? Why do you need them all?
Because everybody else runs into me.
I'll take you off. I'm going to take you off the warranty list.
Okay, fair enough, buddy.
so no, but we're not, we're doing this in backyards and driveways and garages, and you have some places like Chiefland that have a dedicated space, or a hobby shop that has a dedicated space, which is nice, but we're not professionals, and we all bang stuff up, and inevitably the 1RC bumpers, even trimmed up and bent back and done everything we could do, you would still bump into something, and it would flex back against the tire, bind things up, and your race was basically over at that point. So I know there were a couple other guys out there doing it. I've seen at least 2 other 3D printed ones, although I don't know how popular or how marketed they are right now. And obviously the guys over at Oakhaven, I think it is, are doing the that laser cut or CNC cut, that nice, I think it's heavy duty, like plastic, like an ABS plastic.
Yeah.
Or something,
Kevin
which
actually came up with some of those. Yep.
yeah. So it's a nice, it's a great piece. And I thought to myself, well, hey, I've got the printer, so at some point, why not come up with something like that? It was something that I had a couple guys early on actually ask me about, say, hey, we've got these pieces, but if you're doing the 3D printed stuff, we'd really like to get them from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. Well, and another, when we get time, let me see what I can do. And had a free weekend and put my nose to the grindstone and came up with the original version of it. It was a little chunky, I'm not going to lie. We have since, and this is actually, yeah, this is the first time I think I haven't put a post on Facebook or anything, but we're doing we've already done a revision to it, to lighten it up quite a bit. So it was initially 17 grams, as opposed to the stock bumper, which is 5. So you're talking 3 times as heavy.
Yeah, that'll definitely affect your forward drive. Yep.
Yeah, and it did, right? So there is a little bit more forward bite. It does need a little bit of an adjustment, but it wasn't bad. I mean, the car handled. I took it to Chiefland and one of the local races here, and we did good. It just needed a little adjustment to compensate. So I went ahead and was able to do a little bit of a redesign on what we currently have and knock it down to about 12 grams now. So we cut almost a third of the weight out of it, and still, similar design and flexibility and everything and strength. So that's good. And then we went even further, after somebody said, hey man, that thing's super heavy, and showed us a picture of their bumper. And I said, you know what, if I knock if I knock the wings off this and put some holes in it, I bet you we can make it even lighter than what it is now. And sure enough, we did. So the lightweight bumper that we have now is just over 8 grams, almost between 8 and 8.5 grams. So it's just a little bit lighter than the stock bumper, and it loses some of that protection on the corners of the body and around the wheels. But still does a good job of protecting the nose and kind of protecting things overall. I feel like the only time you're going to do any real damage with that is if you have like a one-off situation, kind of like I did this past weekend, where I did, yes, break my own product. So if there's any denial as to whether or not I'm full on, full out like everybody else is racing, I am. And I have a broken bumper to prove it. Yeah. Yep.
So with those, what's neat too about this, and I, you've posted some awesome videos on your Facebook page, but this really kind of protects those frame horns, and it doesn't require any additional drilling. In fact, the screws that you've got, you mentioned that it's a pretty snug fit. You may not even need to put the screws back in, which will save a little bit on that weight, but it really just encapsulates that those front end horns, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
I bought the bumpers from Kevin at Oakhaven, and the main reason for that was the proceeds went to help his local track there, and I think what he's doing and that whole group, they're a fantastic group of people. So, to support them, it was well worth it. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm going to repurpose the bumpers I got from him and donate them to another racer, but these bumpers absolutely excite me. And you're going through these revisions, right? And you broke your own product, kind of one of the first days out. And then
sure did.
And then all of a sudden, I stalk you on Facebook. I try and promote the heck out of you, and I see you did something with warranty. So these are like
Yeah,
opposing.
how crazy is that,
opposing
right?
like RC and warranty. They're two things that don't go together.
Right. That's
right?
like oil and water.
Yep.
Yeah, they just don't.
I
It
know.
doesn't happen. So,
It's,
so
somebody
talk to
else
me
said
about this.
it's like real race car parts. The guy's like, who warranties race car parts? And he's
Nobody.
like, well, I don't care what size they are. Who warranties race car parts? And I'm like, right, exactly. So right. So the thought behind the whole warranty thing was, and kind of touching on what we did when we first started talking here, is that like I don't do this to make a ton of money. I have a day job. The extra scratch is nice, but what I primarily use it for is to support my own racing. Do some stuff for local events or giveaways or things like that. We can donate funds if we have them available. We do stuff like that. So the thought was like, yeah, I'm not going to charge $20 a bumper, right? Because realistically, I can get away with charging less for them. So let's offer them at a more affordable price. And then I offer them at a more affordable price, and I go out and I break it second time out on his second race day out. And the thought was, well, man, even if I paid $10 for this thing, if I had, let's say, an Oak Haven bumper on there and it's lasted me 3 months, and yeah, I paid $25 for it, but it hasn't broken. But now two races out, I have to go and buy a new one from this guy again. And then with shipping and all this, it's like, well, man, am I going to have to spend $15 every time I go out? And so again, my experience had me thinking that, you know what, let's just nip this in the bud and realize that, hey, stuff's going to happen. And it's a 3D printed plastic part. It's not indestructible. I've never put it out there as something that is indestructible or better than anything else for that matter, right? But if people do choose to use our bumpers and buy them from us, then I'm just going to need a picture, just a documentation of the broken bumper and where and how it broke, which helps me because in the future I can change and alter the design to go ahead and maybe prevent that, right? So it's some kind of in the field R&D. And at the same time, I can get somebody else, I can get them a replacement bumper for just the cost of the shipping. So basically, if you want to look at it, it's basically a lifetime bumper guarantee.
Yeah, right.
For
Well,
just the cost of whatever it cost me to get to you. So,
well, as a client and anybody out there thinking about being a client, there's no better testimonial than that, right? That he'll stand behind his product, continues to make it better, and if he does, he'll reach out and let you know. That's just stand up. That's not just in the RC industry, but there's just not enough manufacturers like that in the U.S. Right?
No.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I can't, like I said, I kind of, people, it's cheap, but people work all week and things are tight right now, and they're spending their hard-earned money on stuff that I make in my office or in my shop, so it's like, if I can help out anybody any way I can, I try to. And it just, once it came to me, I was like, you know what, it's probably going to sound crazy to some people, but it just makes sense. If somebody wants to buy it and it breaks, then we'll take care of it. So
that's awesome. I know one common thing of people that, like, I was talking with regarding you, not even so much your company, but just you, and they'd say that when you race, the comment was, when you race with Charlie, he doesn't mention his company or push his product on race day. So I have to ask you, Trey, what's behind that? What?
I just don't like money. That's what it is. Apparently, I don't. No, no. What it comes down to. So I got into this because I got into it because I enjoy racing, because I like the 1RC stuff. I've had the 1RC stuff on my radar for well over a year, and finally started to get big and blow up here down in Florida. And I figured, I'll go ahead and get a couple cars, and then you know how it goes, right?
Sure.
1RC math. So 2 cars turns into 3 cars somehow turns into 5, and the next thing you know, you have 8 cars and you have no idea where they came from. So I got into this So I got into this as a racer and a love of the RC cars, and not as a guy that saw like a niche product that needed the whole field, so to speak. So when I go out to a race, I want to go there and be Charlie the racer that sells 3D parts, not the guy from Digital Fabrication that comes out to race so he can sell 3D parts. So unload everything out of my toolbox when I get there, just like everybody else. I have my setup station and my car stands and whatever else, the tire tubes or whatever else I might have with me, and I have them set up there, and they're bright orange, so they draw attention. And if somebody wants to come over and they want to chat me up about it or ask me questions, or like when I went to Chiefland this week, I didn't say anything at all to Dusty, and he came over to me at the end and he's like, "Are you the digital fabrication guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "I got an idea and I want to run it past you." So we talked a little bit, but even there, I don't introduce myself as Charlie from Digital Fabrication. I'm there to race and have fun with everybody else and make friends. So if somebody wants to chat about the stuff I have and they're interested, I'll stand there all day long and I'll talk to them. But I'm not going to go, I'm not going to see a guy sitting there struggling with his car and thrashing to get shocks changed and a bunch of stuff done before his next heat race, and then walk over and say, "Hey, man, you really could use a car stand," because they're going to think I'm some kind of idiot. So
Yeah, but you
so
are
it's
the,
just
you're the guy though that'll go up to that guy and help him get his car going. So
oh
that's,
yeah,
that's
no, without a doubt. In fact, I've taken a car that was handling and walked over and set it upside down and on somebody's pit box and say, "Hey, I don't know if it'll help you, but here's what I got in mind," and just kind of said, "Hey, when you're done, bring it back over."
yeah, that's
So I got no problem doing that either.
yeah, that's just the spirit of this whole 1RC thing, and I'm sure you're seeing it in Florida and like everybody we talk to,
Yep.
North Carolina. It doesn't matter who we talk to. That just seems like everybody who's gotten into this is either coming back from being out of it. I
Yep.
was out of it 20 years.
I was too.
Yeah, a bunch of
Yep.
friends of mine were out for 20 years, and we looked at these cars and started reading some stuff and seeing some of the tracks, and it looked like everybody was just in it for the right reasons. And fortunately, that has proven to be true. So, yeah, Florida has got to be the hotbed, though. I would say Florida, that North Carolina to Florida, right through there, boy. That's there's a lot of cars.
Florida's got a lot of well, you figure you've got snowbirds down here anyway, right?
Right.
And things like that. I mean, they've been doing RC stuff down here in Florida for years. Now, I came from the Northeast originally. I've only been down here in Florida for 3 years now.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you come down here now. Up north, I used to race quarter scale cars. I skipped straight over 10 scale, went right to quarter scale. I had a good buddy of mine, Dave Carpenter, who ran a quarter scale deal up there where we would run on a quarter midget track that was behind the big track at Wall Township Speedway. And, we got in touch with him and got to chit chatting. And then after years of running a quarter scale and then fifth scale, like dirt modified looking cars, we got to be really good friends. And then eventually just time, energy, work, interest falls off in the club and things like that. And him and I stayed close, but I wound up stepping away from it for probably about, man, I want to say 7-8 years, somewhere in there. And that was it. And I've always thought about going back, but I never really had a place to go. And then coming down here and like I said, seeing how the 1RC scene was kind of exploding. I mean, really, down here in Florida, I said, okay, well, I've had my eye on these things and they're super cool. So let's buy a car or two and let's check it out and maybe we'll go racing, and the rest is kind of just history. So we have a good problem, a problem I wish every other racer had, which is that we have lots of options down here.
As being an East Coast guy, you got to be loving that they came out with those pavement, those ground pounders, the pavement modifieds.
Well, that's my family history there. So okay. I have we grew up at Wall Township Speedway. I grew up a car guy. I thought as a kid, everybody had race cars in their garage because everybody that we hung out with had a race car in their garage, a real race car. So they started out, my family, they started out in inline 6-cylinder, like street stocks looking cars that they called modern stocks, and gradually moved up over the years. And when my grandfather finally got out of it in the almost late 90s, they were running open wheel modifieds. And I used to get pulled out of school as a kid to go to all the tour races. So we used to follow the modified tour up and down the coast. I would get pulled out for 2 weeks to come down here to Florida to New Smyrna for speed weeks. Right. So tell me I didn't have a great childhood.
Yeah. So here's an interesting New Smyrna note that I just found out on Flow Racing. So
okay.
Folks in the East call it New Smyrna, and then us in the North, we call it New Smyrna.
Yeah.
And we're both actually wrong.
Really?
Yes.
How do you
Really?
say it then?
So the story goes, and I'm gonna mess it all up, but a guy that started the town named it after his wife, where she came from, and I want to say it's Lithuania, but it would have to be looked up, and somebody's gonna kill me on YouTube.
Well,
and
now
say-
I'm gonna look it up after we get off.
all
but-
right. So it's actually the way it's said is New Smyrna.
New Smyrna?
New Smyrna.
Well, I can tell you right now, if you walk down, if you were there and you called it New Smyrna, they would probably have you tested to see if you had one too many beers that night.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Charlie. But yeah, it was a pretty funny.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny piece that the
Interesting.
one guy did on Flow Racing when they were just there for for the World Series of racing. He was asking drivers, so everybody from the north said it one way, everybody from the south said another, and then thought the piece was over, and then they did like the the record going,
Yeah.
which I actually have. I
Yeah.
I could make it do that, but and he's like, okay, well here's the epilogue to this. We're all wrong, and then he talked to a guy who told him the story.
Mhm.
Said, yep, it's actually called New Smyrna.
New Smyrna.
No kidding.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
we forever called it when I lived up north. It was New Smyrna,
Right.
Mhm.
and then and it, honestly, it really wasn't until I moved down here and everyone calls it New Smyrna.
Right. Right.
And but yeah, that's interesting. Now I got to go ahead and see if I can find that. I love stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I think you'll find it on YouTube. I think I saw it. Yeah, under the Flow Racing thing. So
I'll have to
was
check
good.
it out too.
Nice.
So Charlie, it's awesome having you on here, but we want to be a little bit of a kind of a story breaker, right? Like, oh, here's the new headline. So with that, what's in the mind of Charlie in digital fabrication? What are you doing next, and how are you going to take my money?
We are from now on, from here on out, we are just taking money and we are no longer shipping products. Yeah, and that's it. And then we're done.
Perfect.
We're great.
Perfect. I mean, I guess
like every other Facebook scam, right?
No,
Like,
I can
my
assure
God,
you that
I'll tell you.
that is not you, buddy. But because
No,
like I
I
said,
try.
I take my setup station out. I've told you this probably 8 times. I take my setup station. That's the first thing when my pit mat is set up. That's the thing. That's like my perfect
That's the
thing.
goal.
Yeah, and then the tire tubes save so much room in my pit box. Like, so I rock those, and I already have them set up, and I bring those out. Just like you, right? You got to be organized. But I'm curious. I mean, I know you're working on some revisions on the bumpers.
Yep.
The new mud plugs came out, which if you're into the realism of this, the new mud plugs are great. But what's coming down the pike? And I've got some ideas too that I want to discuss with you, and maybe we can do that on the air. If we want to take it off, we can. But
Sure.
what's
No,
coming
I'm
down the
open
pike,
to that.
buddy?
So real quick, just to touch on one other thing. I know we joked before about that, but one of the reasons, we talk about like the Facebook scam thing. So that's one of the reasons why I tell guys all the time when they order, they'll say, okay, what's your PayPal? I'll say, hey, it's going to be $20. And the guy say, okay, what's your PayPal? And I say, don't send anything. When it's ready, I'll take some pictures, shoot them over to you, and make sure you're good with it. Essentially, send them a proof, and say once you're good with it, then we'll go ahead and you can shoot me over the money and your address. I'll make up the tag. I'll shoot you the tracking, and we'll be good to go. And that seems to be something that has it's to the point now where I have guys like yourself, which I've gotten to know you a little bit since the beginning there, and but just guys who have placed 1 or 2 small orders that I'll say, okay, here's what we're looking at, and boom, they send it right over, and I'm like, oh, you didn't have to do that. And the guy goes, nope, I know you're good for it.
Yeah,
So it's nice. That's a great feeling to have where people trust you, and I again can assure you, I have no plans on going anywhere at the moment. If I do, it certainly will not be with your money. So
yeah, no, and I will attest to that. And if anybody ever has any
Yeah.
questions,
Nope.
heck, you can reach out to me. That's one of the things. In fact, I send you PayPal now without even telling you I've placed an order because it's like,
Yeah.
I want that. So
yeah, hey man, I need a bumper. I'm like, why'd you send me $10? Oh, I need a bumper.
yeah, just do
But
me. Yeah. I
as
think you've got my,
no, go ahead.
yeah, I think you've just got my information saved. I don't even have to send you my
Yep.
address anymore. It's like I'm like in your favorites now, which is cool.
Nope,
But
I've got you are. Yeah, you're right. You are right up there. We're gonna name you as a trustee.
yeah, well,
as a partner.
I've got some tricks coming because I'm just a huge fan of the products. But let's
That's cool. Thank you.
Let's
But
just
yeah,
talk a
let's
little
touch
bit.
on that now.
What's coming
So
down the pike?
all right, so I don't know if I have anything earth-shattering right now because, like I mentioned before, stuff happens kind of fluidly, and what it'll be like, all of a sudden I'll hit on a good idea or what I think is a good idea or something that makes sense. To me, that's the big thing. Like I could put out flashy and crazy, but not everybody wants flashy and crazy. A lot of guys want practical. Help me, right? So, um, it, I'll come up with something, or again, somebody will suggest something, and I'll say, "Yeah, that's great. Let's do that." So, what we've got right now, we have the newer design on the bumper. What I'm working on is because the bumpers are of a different material than I make the other stuff out of. I'm working on trying to get more colors in. Guys, black is great, but a lot of guys want different colors, want the flashy and stuff like that. So I am working on trying to get some more colors in to give a little bit more of an assortment when it comes to that kind of stuff. Definitely working on more wheel plugs. So the plan is once we get time and can design that we're going to have a full line of wheel plugs for all the cars with the exception of the asphalt modified, because me being the asphalt modified guy at heart, asphalt modifieds don't use wheel plugs. I don't care if you're willing to pay for
Right,
them.
right.
They're not getting them. so yeah, so all the dirt cars, everything else will have mud plugs available. Same thing in a either a single color or dual color, whatever folks want. Um, oh man, what do we think here? One thing I have been thinking about for a while that I haven't yet kind of put pen to paper on is a legitimate car stand, like the big cars have, like the 10 scale cars have, only scaled down for our cars. So I know there's one or two guys out there that have them and have them available right now, and they're 3D printed and they're nice pieces. But I think that's a spot now that we've kind of gotten into the community a little bit more. That if we do a little bit R&D and kind of come up with something that might be something that the folks would be interested in. So we're looking at doing something like that. We are. This one was kind of on the drawing board and something that I had set back, and it wasn't in the forefront as far as like, hey, I need to get this done, until it was mentioned just over the weekend. So we're, from a practical sense and from a track promoter perspective, we're developing basically a go no go gauge for tires. So
Smart.
some places, yeah. So some place, and I can't. Like I said, the idea was there, and it was kind of on the back burner, and then it was brought up after this weekend, and it was like, okay, now we got to start developing it. Noticing some differences between the hard tire, a soft tire, and a soft tire that's been run without any sort of prep, conditioner, or anything, just clean the regular way. So kind of working through that. It's a little tricky because you want to get the measurements, you want to have nice tight tolerances, but at the same time, you don't want to be so tight that you're maybe disqualifying a guy that's done nothing wrong either.
Right, right.
So that is in the works. We'll have we're working on our first set now with a local track. Rhymes with Schmiefland. I don't know if we can say.
Yeah.
So we'll have those up there eventually for those guys to maybe make their tech a little easier. And then
Hey, Charlie, before you
still,
jump off,
oh yeah, go
that
ahead.
really
Go ahead.
quick, because I am a race promoter too for the RC Underground. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
intriguing to me because that's one area that, yeah, we've thought about, like, how are we going to tech this a little tighter? So and maybe you haven't, maybe we're jumping ahead here, but have you heard that there's going to be some kind of like national rule on that? Like what that what
Uh,
that
uh,
tolerance is going to be?
no, personally, I have not. No, that's something that Dusty or one of those guys would probably be able to speak better to. It's something that they, as a fellow track promoter, there, like I have a track here at the house, but it's not a Chiefland for sure. And so that's something that maybe those guys have discussed or maybe talked about. But what we were working on was something more to help them locally, because they have specific measurements in their rule book as to what the tires can be. So if you have a micrometer and you want to measure your own tires at home, you can, to make sure they're legal before you even head out there.
Well,
Um,
it's a good foreshadowing because we're actually going to have Dusty on the show here in a couple of weeks. So,
nice.
yep, that'll be
Yeah,
cool.
Dusty's a good guy. I like what they're doing up there. Eh, he runs a really great show at his place. To kind of plug him, actually, you know what? I'll plug two places here. and they're a little different, but they're my two local places, so I would kind of be remiss if I didn't mention them both. But Dusty does a great job and runs a real tight show up there at Chiefland. It's nice. The surface is got enough grip, but it's challenging. The racers up there are incredibly talented. You get a couple different guys that come from up that way, as opposed to the guys that run normally down by us. So you get a nice balance, but good place, great guys, and really can't kind of say enough about him. So be excited to hear him on here and what he's got to say. I know he's got some good ideas, and some interesting takes on some stuff too. So Dusty's a good guy to use as a sounding board. And then the only other thing is the other local place, which is the Rotten 1RC Speedway here, which is our local joint. And John, Owen, and Rob. John owns it. Owen and Rob do a lot of work over there and help John get things ready every race weekend. And they put a lot of time and energy into doing what they're doing. And I do know there's some improvements coming there. Nothing that I can speak to, because it's not my place to. But just some little insider info. There is some stuff and some plans over there. And I know John's looking to always improve the amenities and what we have going on there. So that's something to look forward to here in the future as well.
Yeah, that's a cool track too. I want to check that one out. And I think you actually didn't a couple of weeks ago, didn't you like clean sweep that place? Pretty much every division you ran in.
I clean sweeped it in the respect that I medaled or podiumed in every class. I did. I had I joked with my wife actually when I came back from Chiefland. I posted the link for the live races up there, and she said to me, boy, if I wanted to watch you run into stuff all day, I would have just go hung out in the garage. And I said, thanks, honey. I appreciate it. And she said, I thought those guys called you a wheelman. I said, yeah, I know. Thanks, babe. We'll address that when we get to the podcast. My number one supporter right there.
they always are, right? They're our biggest critic, right? Amongst ourselves.
She's great, and I couldn't do any of this and anything I've done up to this point without her support, and I wouldn't be doing it without her support. So yeah, so yeah, we did pretty good over there on the foam, and I beat myself in a couple of those features that I finished third in within the last 3 laps. Right. So you kind of get in a groove and you get running faster and faster and faster. And then what do? You try to hook the corner just that little bit more. And well, that was it.
Yeah.
So,
you tap the inside wall or your traction roll or something goofy like that. You wreck your own race.
Yep,
I've been there, done that.
Put the new bumpers to the test, and they survived, but I had to settle for a second or third place finish, which was fine.
Yeah.
So, but they're a bunch of good guys to race with. And that's something we have down here, to kind of, I don't want to go off in the weeds, and I know Dusty will touch on this more if you guys have him on here, but one of the things is we have great guys and great racers all over the state. The only thing that we struggle with here, if we do struggle with anything, is what I feel like other tracks, even real tracks, struggle with, and that's having a lot of tracks in the same area that all have a unified rules package.
Yeah.
And that's it. You want to be able to hop from track to track, and basically for the most part we can, but there's a couple places run a little different rule, or maybe the biggest thing's a different transponder.
Yeah.
Places running different transponders, and that seems to be because these aren't as easy as like a 10 scale car where you just pop the body off, put a new transponder on, and you're good to go. I mean, this takes some work.
Yeah. We've got one racer that races a couple of tracks around us by us locally. And he's got the MyLapse transponder. He's got, he's almost has like 3 transponders in his car at any given time, and just, pops them around. But yeah, that's the challenging part, and kind of, I guess, neutralizing the rules or creating some continuity between them would certainly help, because people want to travel. I know Dave and I have been talking about it, going out to Colorado and heading out there. And, obviously I want to get to Chiefland. I want to hit up Race City. I mean, there's a lot of places that I want to go. And so, making sure I'm on the same page as everyone else is very important. But just getting back to some ideas that I was reeling around in my head. So I'm a bit of a nerd, buddy, and I think you know that about me. I like to scale my car. Okay, I come from that asphalt late model background, and scaling the car is everything. It gives you some insight. It gives you a baseline. When you make a change, it can affect the wedge in
You
the
can
car.
you can physically see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I would see all these scale boards, for the 10th scale guys, 12th scale guys, but that would be something if we could come up with things too, would be cool as like a rear end stand. That not only for building your rear ends, because those are critical, as you know, right? You've got to get them tightened up correctly.
But not too tight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So yeah,
Charlie.
you're the creative genius.
Oh boy, no pressure. I'll tell you, there's going to be, okay, so here's the funny part. There's going to be people that listen to this that know me and hear you call me a creative genius, and they're going to be like, I remember when he was 16 and he blah, blah, blah. And they're going to remind me of some ridiculous thing that I did when I was a kid. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, right. Well,
We're like, hey, creative genius. You remember when you did this?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
when you broke this or took it apart and couldn't get it back together.
Right,
again?
right. Well, we
Yeah,
post
yeah.
we
Oh, yeah.
post these. We post these at our RC Underground Radio Facebook page. So we'll see. What some of the comments are of what Charlie did when he was
That's gonna be
16.
fun. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So
Yeah, I'll make sure I share it to my personal page too. It'll be fun.
yeah, I just want to touch on something personal.
Yeah.
I think it's
Is this the fanboy part?
a little bit.
All right, all right.
So
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you. Wait, and right before that thought, before we get off on that, let me
Yeah.
say this regarding your ideas. I think both of you had great ideas, and it's actually something that they all make a lot of sense. So it's going to be something that I'd probably keep my eye out for here in the near future. And furthermore, if anybody out there has any ideas at all about anything that they think might, like I put an idea out there for something silly. I'm going to start going to have, instead of swapping springs, I'm going to have pre-built shocks and just a small caddy to hold some pre-built shocks organized. So it'll be nice and easy just to pull, something simple like that. Doesn't matter how simple it is. Sometimes it doesn't matter how complex it is. Even if you just have a general idea, feel free to drop me a line. You guys or anybody listening, I'm open to anything. I'm open to any ideas at all, even if it's a one-off thing. I'm willing to help you out if you think it'll work for you and only you. So
yeah, no, and that's part of what I want to talk about. So I got into this. I've hit a different season in my life where I actually have some time to devote to this, and getting into it, it was okay. What's important to me? It's for me. It's again, I like the competition side of it. I think everybody has to get that out of them. But for me, it was the fellowship, the friendships that I've created in this short time that I've been doing this have been impactful to me. We had our good friend Nick Ciccone on, and he had discussed, when he got into this, he watches who he surrounds himself with. And I kind of do the same thing because iron does sharpen iron. We all want to be better people in life, and so we want to surround ourselves with good people. Working with you, I very quickly identified you as one of those people that I could hang out with this guy. This is a stand-up human being. And so I wanted to tell you that because it's important. People need to know the type of person you are, and I think having you on, you've kind of laid it out there for them. Family's important. This is not about money for you. This is about kind of supporting your hobby, and so it's for that reason why I go to you. I don't think there's a product you make that I haven't bought, with the exception of the car stands, which I'll probably just wind up ordering some. Charlie, my color. Add to cart, buddy. Add to cart.
I have a roll of that color with your name on it. In general, it just sits in the corner and waits for the next product to drop.
I'm glad. So I would encourage anybody out there that's into this to check you out on Facebook at Digital Fabrication. You're just a good stand-up guy, and you create some fantastic products, and you put some thought into these things. You're not just cranking them out. You can tell very quickly that you pour your heart and soul into it. And the fact that you offer a warranty on a part, you realize that, hey, maybe this isn't the right way. You've done it with me. I mean, you offered me a discount on an upgraded setup station because you knew I had. That to me is what this is all about. And that's why I just draw to people like that. So, I say I have a little bit of a man crush on you. It's not really that. It's just you're a good dude, and I want to be part of that. I want to help promote you and allow you to continue to support your hobby. So I'm just super appreciative that we got to know one another.
I can kind of echo what you said in return. That I feel like both of you guys have been, both of you guys were there basically almost from the very beginning. You were probably some of, if not my first, I guess, paying customers, and it says a lot about, the people you deal with. Also says a lot about how long you kind of stick around and kind of do business the way that you do. And I can honestly say that the community itself is really, I mean, not to sound cheesy, is really why I do it, right? So yeah, I do make money on this stuff, and I roll it back into my race weekends, or maybe R&D for new products or something like that. But I'm not looking to make a mint here. I'm looking to make friends. I played hockey for, oh geez, 25 years of my life, and some of the greatest friendships I ever had were on the rink, and people that I met and played with, or played against even, that I just had an immense amount of respect for, and then over time became friends with. And it was a lot of the same when I raced RC years back, and I'm getting that feeling again now, racing down here, dealing with guys like yourself and Dave, or any of the other folks that reach out, even if people just reach out for pricing. So many people have nice things to say, or it's a whole like, oh, just hey, as soon as I get around, hey, just put me on the list and just let me know when it's ready, kind of thing. So everybody, the whole community is great, and I'm just looking to kind of be a part of that and kind of help things move forward. Any way we can kind of help unify everybody, or help people get have an easier time, have some more fun. That's kind of what it's all about for me. So
That's awesome. I mean, I just hope people, yeah, it's this the whole reason we wanted to have you on the show, and one of our first guests is because how can you not root for this guy?
Yeah.
Right? How can you not want to see a
Stand-up
guy like
guy.
this
Yeah.
succeed?
Right.
Right? No, and I know, you're like, I'm not in for the money. Dude, I hope you like retire on an island someday.
Yeah, buddy. I don't care if I have to empty my wallet and you've got some yacht out in the Mediterranean. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? It's important to make money. You're not out scamming anybody. You're building one heck of a product.
No.
You're innovating. If you get rich doing it, I'm happy for you, my friend. And because friends want to see friends succeed, and so I get why you're doing it. I understand that, but don't. It's okay if you do make some money and maybe buy a new car one day or something with all of it. It's
I'll
it's
tell you
good
what,
stuff.
if we get to the point where I'm selling enough plastic 3D printed parts to buy a car, then yeah, you guys are definitely welcome on my private island, because that'll be the day.
Well, here's
But
where
no, I really, I can't thank you guys enough. That's really
Yep.
nice. I really appreciate it. I do.
Well, one of the things you did though, Charlie, is you've thrown more money back into this business. I think you mentioned your website's going to be coming soon. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, and thank you for bringing that up, because when you mentioned something before about the page, I wanted to jump in there and say that. So like I said, my biggest problem is time, and I tend to move at 100 miles an hour. I mean, there's times when I'm up until I'll tell myself that lie, right? Oh, I'm going to get to bed by 10 o'clock tonight. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for my day job, to get dressed, drive an hour in, and do what I got to do for that. There's times it's 10 o'clock and I'll say, okay, that's it, I'm done. And make one more revision, and it's only going to take 20 minutes to print this thing, so I'll just wait. And next thing, long story short, next thing I know, it's 2:15, and I'm like, well, I should probably get a nap in, because I got to get up and go to work here soon. So we put the time and stuff in, and we have gotten to the point where it seems like it's pretty good, and doing well with just the social media stuff, and said, okay, let's look into the website thing. So we do have a website. I procured the domain. It's going to be the same as the web page. It's a little bit of a mouthful, right? It'll save it in your favorites bar. Don't type it in every time, but it'll be Digital Fabrication by CK .com. And I'm working on that on the side, when I can, because I have to set up all the products and all the pricing, and take all the pictures and get the layout done, and just all the fun things that come along with building a website. So I'm also doing that in addition to all the other stuff too. So it might take a little while to get that up and running, but it is definitely in the works right now as we speak. So.
Well, that's great. I mean, what a segment tonight. Just can't thank you enough, Charlie, to take this much time.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Yeah, like you
I
said.
love what you guys do here, And when I saw you post the first couple podcasts, and I don't, sometimes guys do this and you hear podcasts and it's just two guys up there. I don't know. To listen to you guys in a podcast, it's just like two buddies talking, and when you listen, you feel like you've known you guys forever. The stories you guys tell about your family, your history, what goes on there at your track, and the things that you guys do. I was instantly hooked on the podcast, and then to be here now and talking with you guys and doing this, might not seem like a lot for some folks, but it really did. It meant a lot for you guys to have me on. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you guys do there. And I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I hope this goes on for years and years.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we're gonna keep doing this, Charlie. We're not done yet. We're not done with you. We certainly don't want to burn you out, but we're not done chatting, my friend. This is just the start of an awesome friendship. I appreciate what you said about Dave and I. We are buddies, and that's what makes this so freaking easy to do. This is how we roll. This is our life. This is how we talk with one another.
Yeah, we were doing. We were chatting about this stuff for almost a year before we ever went on the air, and then we finally we need an outlet because we need to talk about. We need to get this stuff out.
And go.
So, but no, all seriousness, you have no idea how much that means to us, right? Because we're kind of in the same boat you are. We're not going to make even a dime off of any of this, right? We don't care about likes. We don't care about following. Surprising enough, our analytics are actually kind of crazy right now. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just a couple of goons talking about 1RC cars, and that's our analytics.
My 13-year-old daughter today said, "Dad, I rang the bell on Spotify, so I'll get notifications when you guys drop a new podcast."
Oh, that's awesome.
That's my girl.
Yeah. No, it's shocking. I mean, there's people from other countries listening to this. I don't know. Social media and that kind of stuff will just always surprise you.
Yeah.
And we're just very humbled, but we're just doing it because we're just listening. If we were the only ones listening, we'd still be doing episodes.
Yeah,
right?
You could tell you guys enjoy what you're doing. Nobody is forcing. It's never a conversation of, oh man, we got to do the podcast tonight. You could tell. I mean, the way that you guys interact with each other, you could. It absolutely comes through that you guys are buddies and that you enjoy doing what you're doing.
Well,
so
we've got a buddy.
Awesome.
We've got a buddy in you, and
sure do.
You are welcome on this podcast anytime you want, my friend. We just love everything you're doing. We love the human being that you are. I know it sounds a little corny, but it's very important. And
I appreciate it.
We just love what you do, man, and the innovation that you come up with, and the colors. The colors get me. I mean, I'm the chartreuse, so it's that fluorescent yellow.
You, man.
I gotta have it, and my cars. My cars look good because
I have another. Thank you. No, your cars look good because of you. I'm just an accent. I'm like a nice tie on a good suit. That's what I am. So, but I got I joke. People will message me and they'll say, "Hey, I don't see you have any colors listed. What colors do you have?" And I said, "Listen, the easier thing would be to list the colors I don't have. And the way I could tell you is if I have it, we got it. And if we don't, we'll get it." So I don't have a problem if I have to go out and spend the rolls of filament for the 3D printers range in price. It depends on what you get, but they're usually between $30 and $50 a roll. I have no problem with spending $50 to buy a roll because one guy wants a $5 set of wheel plugs. I'll find a use for it somewhere along the lines, maybe not now, 6 months from now, might be 2 years from now, but I'll have it. And we have no problem with being flexible as long as people are willing to be flexible and wait. If we don't have something a couple days, then we have no problem going ahead and getting that in for them. So
that's awesome. Well,
Charlie,
it's all
about you guys, man.
What's that?
I said it's all about you guys. Whatever you guys want, we do our best to get it for you. So.
Well, that's awesome.
So true.
We were talking about that life balance. You're talking about you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We know you're even an hour ahead of us. So we're going to let you roll. We're going to let you go talk to your family. I know what's going to happen out of this, though. People are going to be coming to us going, when are you having Charlie back on again?
Yeah, no kidding.
So we'll save some good stuff for the future because, it's a definite. You'll be back on the show again. So we just want to thank you again for coming on. Just great conversation. Super excited for things that are coming up in the future for you and your products, because then that means those are cool things coming for us. So I know everybody out there is going to be really waiting to hear next things and when they're going to hit the website. So you want to cover those again really quick, just the website and the Facebook page?
Yeah, so the website's not up right now, but I could tell you if you go to the Facebook page, there's both a page and a group. You can join one, you can join the other, you can join both. That's fine. It's Digital Fabrication by CK on Facebook. And what I'll do is once the website gets up and running, I don't know if it'll be a couple weeks or a couple months. It all depends on how things go. But I'll release there when the website goes live, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, check it out. Digital Fabrication by CK.
All right, my friend.
We appreciate you, Charlie. Thank you so much for
Appreciate
everything
you
you do
guys, all
for
right?
us and supporting us racers and being an awesome guy about all of it. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Follow us on Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram.